who's off to a ridiculous start. He's thrown for more than 1,500 yards through 4 games. Thus, he's on pace to throw for 6,000. No one has ever come close to that. He's thrown for at least 300 in all 4 games. The only players who do that the first 5 games of a season are Peyton Manning, Kurt Warner, and Steve Young. So let's see if he does it. He also doesn't get sacked much. He's been sacked on just 1.8% of his dropbacks this season. Should that hold up, it would be the lowest in a season since Peyton Manning in 2009. So they play the Colts this week. It's an interesting game. It's the Sunday night game. And, Bobby, I want you to take a look at this. You tell me, is the defense the Colts play good or bad against Mahomes?
It is not good. 70% of their snaps are zone defense. That's 3rd most in the NFL. Pat Mahomes, the best quarterback against zone defense, over 12 yards an attempt, explosive gains all over the place, 6 touchdowns. Let's take a look. Here we have Mecole Hardman in the slot, number 3 receiver right beside him. They're playing zone right here. You see the safeties, the corners, the slot receivers, all kind of targeted. Pat Mahomes does a great job. Accuracy, anticipation. Look at the distance. They run vertical routes. It stretches the defense. That's what Andy Reid's so good at. And Pat Mahomes does an unbelievable job of finding Hardman in here. And look at him take it to pay dirt. This is something you see all the time. Whether it's Hill, whether it's Hardman, it does not matter. Now here's the Colts. You see the Raiders. They're playing zone defense again. 2 deep safeties, 2 linebackers are going to be underneath. Derek Carr, probably not as good as Pat Mahomes, but he sees the 2 deep safeties. He sees the hole in the zone. He's able to thread that in there. Greeny, if Derek Carr can do that in a tight window like that, I have full confidence that Pat Mahomes is going to be able to do that in spades against the Colts.
So the point to be made here is this matchup does not favor the Colts. But maybe the bigger question I would ask you, Lewis, and you were on Patrick Mahomes before anybody was, but you were also a defensive back once upon a time. What defense does work against him?
You have to take your shots at playing man-to-man coverage and getting up at the line of scrimmage to make Pat hold the football, put some indecision in his mind, and then give your pass rush some time to work. Teddy Bruschi did a breakdown on NFL Countdown the other day where you also have to do this. Anytime there are wide receivers in 4 or 3 wide receiver sets lined up close to the core, close to the box, to where pass rushers on their way to the quarterback can then get a hit on wide receivers as they're trying to get into maybe some of those shallow crossing routes, you got to sacrifice pass rush in order to slow down the timing. Because if you wind up playing typical spot drop zone coverage, meaning you just run to a spot, turn around, look at the quarterback, you're done. He's going to shred you. Even if you play zone man matchup where you're trying to let the routes declare, then you match them down the field. A lot of times they can run stuff that will confuse your discipline with that. So that's where man-to-man has to work. And if you watch the AFC Championship game last year in the first half, Bill had him on the ropes. He had him on the ropes.
Got him locked down. Matt Patricia, coach for the Patriots, that's what they did against the Lions last week. I watched the whole game. I could not find snaps of zone. And Pat Mahomes struggled a little bit. That is the only chance you have. But you have to also, Greeny, have the personnel on the back end to be able to do it, and not many people do.
So I think the message coming out of this conversation is if you have Mahomes on your fantasy team this Sunday night, good for you. Meanwhile, let's go to